You ever think about how we just, like, expect fire safety? It's just
Yeah.
there, you know? But there's a ton going on behind the scenes that we never really see.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to really dig into the world of fire protection technicians.
Okay.
They're the ones making sure buildings don't, well, burn down, basically.
Right.
And we're using RoleCatcher's career guide for all the info. Get ready, because it's not just fire extinguishers. We're talking some really complex stuff, surprising places they work, the whole shebang.
Yeah, it's way more to it than people realize.
Totally.
Yeah.
I used to think firefighters were like the fire safety people.
Right.
But this guide made me see how important fire protection technicians are way before a fire even starts. It's like they're giving buildings this, like, safety superpower, making sure they're up to code, putting in, checking, keeping up all those systems, alarms, sprinklers,
That's a
everything.
big responsibility, yeah.
For sure. So we're talking a lot more than just some basic handyman stuff.
Definitely. It takes a lot of different skills. You're dealing with how buildings are made, electrical stuff, even plumbing sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And all that through this lens of fire safety.
Right.
Plus, they got to keep up with all these fire codes and regulations that are always changing.
So it's not for someone who gets bored easily?
Nope, not at all.
This is where I got really interested. The guide talked about the work environments. And it's not just boring old office buildings, is it?
No way. Fire protection, you need it everywhere.
That's true.
So these technicians, they work all over hospitals, schools, factories, you name it.
Wow.
They even work on like oil rigs and construction sites. It's pretty wild.
That's being on the front lines of safety right there.
Yeah, it is.
But working in all those different places, that's got to come with some challenges. Right?
Oh, for sure.
The guide mentioned some potential dangers. Working way up high, in small spaces, even being around hazardous materials.
Yeah, it's definitely not a desk job.
Not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
It's like any skilled trade. There are risks, you know, but that's why safety is so important in this line of work.
Makes sense.
Those technicians, they're trained really well to handle those risks, so they keep themselves safe and everyone else too.
They're not like running into burning buildings or anything, but they're still dealing with some risky situations. That takes guts.
It does.
Okay, but the guide also talked about how fire protection technicians, they're working with all sorts of people, right?
Oh yeah, it's actually a really collaborative field, more than you'd think.
Interesting.
They're talking to facility managers, building owners, even firefighters sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And emergency responders too. Building relationships is a big part of it.
That's really interesting.
It is. It's all about working together to make sure everyone's safe.
So you need those people skills just as much as the technical stuff.
Absolutely. You can't be a lone wolf in this job. Got to be a team player for sure.
So it's like they're the diplomats of keeping everyone safe.
Ha! I like that. That's a good way to put it.
That's really interesting. But you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
The fact that this whole industry is, like, booming right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a good time to be in fire protection, that's for sure.
So tell me, why is it growing so fast?
Well, there are a few reasons. And the guide, it lays them out really well. For one, I think people are just more aware of fire hazards these days.
Makes sense.
Like everybody wants to be safe, right? And they realize how important it is to have, good safety measures in place.
Right.
And building codes are getting stricter too in a lot of places.
Oh, so it's not just a trend, it's like a real shift toward making safety a priority.
Exactly. And that means, more money is being spent on good fire protection equipment and services, and that means they need more people to do the work.
So it seems like job security is pretty good in this field.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a plus if you're thinking about this kind of career. You'll be in demand.
So it's fulfilling work and you've got job stability. That's a pretty good combo.
You got it. But it's not just about job security. There's room to grow in this field too, and that's what makes it exciting, I think.
In what way?
Well, we're not just talking about your basic fire alarms and sprinklers anymore.
Oh, yeah?
Technology is changing the game. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Technology changing the game, huh? Okay, now I'm really listening. What kind of tech are we talking about here?
So get this. Buildings that are, smart when it comes to fire safety.
Smart buildings. How about that?
Yeah, smart fire detection systems.
Smart fire detection. Those sound a lot fancier than the smoke detector I've got in my kitchen.
Yeah, they're not your average smoke detectors, that's for sure. We're talking sensors and analytics and all that to find fires way faster and more accurately, too.
Wow.
They're not just, reacting to smoke when it finally gets to them. These systems are always watching what's going on in the whole building.
Okay.
They use data to spot a problem before it even becomes a real fire.
So it's like you've got this 24/7 fire safety team, but instead of people, it's all these sensors and computers.
That's a really good way to put it. And they don't just detect. They can actually respond, too.
No kidding.
Yeah, you can program them to do certain things automatically.
What do you mean?
Like if there's smoke, they can shut off the ventilation system.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it doesn't spread everywhere. They can even call the fire department right away.
As soon as it detects something's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's really amazing how much safer all this tech is making things.
It is, yeah.
But with all this technology, does that mean fire protection technicians need to be like computer experts now?
Well, it's definitely becoming a bigger part of the job.
I bet.
They don't have to be like writing code or anything.
Right.
But it helps to understand how the technology works.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just putting in equipment anymore.
Right.
You have to understand the tech behind it.
Yeah, it's like you're not just the mechanic.
Right.
You got to be the mechanic for a really complex, smart system.
I like that, like a smart fire safety mechanic.
Exactly, and that's what makes it interesting, right?
Yeah.
Especially for people who are into tech, always something new to learn. It's never boring.
Never boring. Okay, so we've got job security, cool places to work, cutting-edge technology. It all sounds kind of perfect.
Yeah.
But I got to ask, what about the downside? The guide mentioned those, right?
It does, and it's important to talk about those too.
Definitely. No job's perfect.
Exactly.
So what are some of the not-so-fun parts of being a fire protection technician?
Well, it's physical work, you know? You're on your feet a lot, climbing ladders, carrying heavy stuff. Sometimes you're in some pretty tight spaces.
Yeah, you got to be in pretty good shape to do this, I guess.
Definitely. And you might have to deal with hazardous materials sometimes.
Oh, right.
Like when you're working on those fire suppression systems.
Yeah, those chemicals.
Yep. Safety is super important, but it's definitely something to think about.
I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with that stuff.
Yeah, not for everyone, that's for sure.
Okay, so physical, sometimes dangerous. What else?
Well, even though it's really rewarding, it can be a stressful job.
Yeah, I bet.
People's lives depend on this stuff.
Right.
And emergencies happen. You gotta be able to think clearly under pressure.
That's a lot of responsibility to carry around.
It is, yeah.
Okay, what else? Anything else I should know about?
Oh, and you might have to work some weird hours sometimes.
Makes sense.
You know, emergencies don't just happen 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
True. Very true.
Could be nights, weekends, even holidays.
Fires don't care about our schedules, that's for sure.
That's right.
But I guess for some people, that flexibility could be a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Depends what you're looking for. Okay, so physical work, possible danger, long hours. What else?
Let's see, there's training.
Oh, right.
And you've got to get certified, and it's ongoing.
Always learning.
Yeah, fire codes are always changing. Technology is always changing.
So you got to stay up to date.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not really a downside for me.
Right.
I like learning new stuff.
It's good to keep learning new things. Keeps things interesting, you know?
Keeps your brain sharp. Okay, so we've talked about different work environments, technology, the good and the bad. But what about finding your own path in this field?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the guide, it actually goes into this whole thing about specialization.
Wait, specialization. So you don't have to do, like, everything. You can focus on a specific part of fire protection.
Yep, you got it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, you can find your niche, the thing you're really into.
What are some examples of the specializations?
Well, you could be the fire alarm expert, like installation, programming, fixing them.
Okay.
Or maybe you're more into sprinkler systems, how they're designed and installed, making sure they'll work perfectly when you really need them.
That's crucial.
Yeah, it is.
What about people who like working with their hands, getting a little dirty? Is there something for them?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's fire suppression systems.
Okay.
You're working with the chemicals that actually put out fires.
Wow, that's got to be pretty intense.
Yeah, it's specialized for sure.
You got to know what you're doing.
Definitely. You're dealing with some serious stuff.
Yeah, I bet. So there's something for everyone.
That's right.
The tech people, the hands-on people, everyone. I like that. A lot of options. So what if someone wants to become a fire protection technician?
Mm-hmm.
What's the path look like? Like, how do you even get started?
Well, usually it's a mix of education, some training, and then on-the-job experience.
Okay.
A lot of people start at a vocational school, you know?
Yeah.
Or they do an apprenticeship.
So you're learning the basics.
Right, the basics of how fire protection systems work, the building codes, all the safety stuff.
So it's like a trade school kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. And as you get more experience, you can move up,
Okay.
take on bigger jobs, more responsibility. You could even become a supervisor.
Wow.
Yeah. Or a manager. Some people, they even become consultants.
Consultants, like what do they consult on?
Well, they help out architects and engineers,
Okay.
even building owners, giving them advice on all things fire safety.
So if you're ambitious, there's definitely room to grow in this field.
Absolutely. You can make a real career out of it.
That's great. And speaking of careers, let's talk about how RoleCatcher helps people actually get those jobs.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
We mentioned their interview prep stuff before,
Yeah.
but I want to hear more about it. What's so special about their approach? RoleCatcher. Interview prep.
Oh,
Let's get into it. They've got this whole database of interview questions, is that right?
database. It's massive.
Yeah, how many are we talking?
Over 120,000.
120,000 questions. Seriously.
Yeah, and get this, they're specific to different careers.
Okay, so like tailored for fire protection technicians. Wow. But, I mean, you can't memorize 120,000 questions and answers, right? What's the point of all that?
Oh, it's not about memorizing. It's about practicing, getting comfortable. RoleCatcher helps you practice answering the kinds of questions they ask in fire protection interviews.
Okay, I see.
So you walk in feeling confident, ready for anything.
So no more freaking out when they threw you a curveball question.
Exactly. You'll have a solid answer ready to go.
Nice. So it's like you've got this interview coach in your pocket.
That's a good way to put it. They even have this AI thing.
AI, like artificial intelligence.
Yep. It analyzes your practice answers and gives you feedback.
Hold on. AI interview coaching. Is that even a real thing?
It is. It's really cool, actually. Like, it'll give you tips on how you're speaking, what you're saying,
Getting out of here.
even your body language. Can you believe that?
No way. How does it even know all that?
It's trained on, like, tons of real interview data, you know?
Wild.
So it knows what works and what doesn't.
That's insane. So it's like having your own personal coach 24/7.
Basically.
RoleCatcher sounds like the real deal.
That's a great resource, especially for this field.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about what it's like right now, but what about the future? Like with all this smart technology coming out, what's going to happen to fire protection technicians?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Right, will they even have jobs in the future with all these smart buildings taking over?
They will. But it's definitely going to change things.
In what way?
The guide hinted at some pretty interesting possibilities. Think about it. Buildings that are basically fireproof.
Fireproof.
Right.
Like they can't burn down at all.
Well, maybe not fireproof exactly, but close.
Okay.
They'll be able to detect a fire the second it starts, set off the sprinklers, call the fire department.
And they do all that on their own
Yeah,
without any human help.
exactly. It's incredible.
That's kind of scary, honestly, but also really cool.
Right.
So what does that mean for fire protection technicians? What will they even do?
Well, their job will be more about making sure all that technology is working perfectly.
Oh, okay. So like they'll be the ones setting it all up and making sure it's running smoothly.
Yep. Like the conductors of an orchestra, making sure everything works together perfectly.
I like that. Conductors of safety. But it still sounds like a really important job.
Oh, absolutely. It's just going to be different, you know?
Right. Less about putting out fires and more about making sure they never even start in the first place.
Exactly. Using data and technology to, like, predict the future of fire safety. Pretty cool, huh?
That is super cool. It's amazing how much things are changing.
It really is.
Well, this deep dive has been amazing.
It's been fun.
I've learned so much, and I bet our listeners have too.
I hope so. Fire protection, it's a really important field.
It really is. And for anyone listening who wants to know more, RoleCatcher is a great place to start. They've got all the info you need.
Okay, that's about all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of fire protection technicians. Until next time, stay curious, and we'll keep exploring new and exciting career paths.